Hello there, future educator, and welcome. Today in this video, we're tackling Praxis 7814. This is the elementary education science exam. Now, if science isn't your strongest subject, don't worry about a thing. My goal is to break this down so you can walk into test day completely ready and confident. Now, this practice test that we'll be going over today has a total of 24 questions. Once I click the start exam button, there will be a time limit of 24 minutes, and this works as a great diagnostic exam. This practice test is a half length to the full length real test that you'll actually get on test day, yet this practice test still covers the key concepts that you'll need to have a firm grasp on for your exam. Think here earth and space science, life science, as well as physical science, and then also engineering and technology. This practice test lives at teacherpreps.com. I've left a link in the description below. Without further ado, let's just jump into it. The way that I envision this working is that I'll read the practice test question. I'll give you some time to read the answer options A, B, C, and D, and then we'll together find the most appropriate match for the answer options, and then we'll just go through all 24 questions together. So without further ado, here's question 1. A teacher wants students to observe the pattern of the sun's apparent movement across the sky. Which activity would be most effective? Take a moment to read the answer options A, B, C, and D before we talk about it together. All right, so I am taking a look at answer option A. I like that because observing how a shadow changes throughout the day provides that direct, concrete evidence of the sun's apparent movement. All right, moving on to question 2. This one asks, a student states, it rains because clouds get full and tip over. Which of the following is the best way to address this misconception? Again, take a moment to read the answer options, pick the best one, and then together we'll identify it. All right, I'm looking at answer option D, showing a diagram of the water cycle to explain condensation. And I would say this is the best choice because it just directly corrects the misconception by providing an accurate model. All right, moving on to question number 3. This one reads, to teach about the effects of erosion, a teacher has students build small mounds of dirt. Which investigation would best model water erosion? All right, I'm going to go with answer option C, gently pouring water over the mounds from a watering can. This directly simulates the action of rain on land, and it's going to allow our students to observe how water can carry soil away. Quick pause here. According to recent statewide data, this Praxis 7814 science exam has a failure rate of 44%. That number is way too large to ignore. My goal is to make sure you pass. So give yourself the best chance at this by clicking the link in the description of this video to get instant access to our complete Praxis 7811 test prep materials. All right, let's get back to the lesson. All right, moving on to question number 4. This one asks, what is the primary cause of Earth's seasons? That would be answer option D, the tilt of Earth's axis relative to its orbit. This is going to be a key science fact for your test. All right, moving on to question number 5. This one asks, a student finds a seashell fossil on a mountain. The student is confused about how it got there. What concept should the teacher introduce? I'm going to go with answer option B as being the best response or best answer option because it introduces the geological concept of uplift explaining how land was once underwater and became a mountain, over millions of years, that the area was once covered by ancient ocean. All right, moving to question 6. This one asks, which of the following activities best helps students understand human impact on the environment? All right, I see graphing the amount of trash collected from the playground. This would be the best answer. It takes local data and makes the concept of pollution more tangible for our students. All right, that was the last question of our Earth and Space Science section. Next, we're going to be moving on to Life Science. This is question number 7, and it asks, a student draws a food web where an arrow points from a wolf to a rabbit. What misconception does this arrow represent? The answer is C, because in a food web, the arrow must always point in the direction of energy flow from the organism being eaten to the organism that eats it. All right, moving on to question number 8. This one asks, which question is most likely to lead to a scientific investigation about plant growth? Option B is best here because it poses a testable question with a clear independent variable. That would be the sunlight right here, and then measuring a dependent variable, which is the height. All right. Question number 9 asks, a teacher wants to explain how traits are inherited. Which is the best introductory activity? I'm going to go with answer option A, having students list their own eye and hair color, because it connects the abstract concept of heredity to the student's own observable traits. All right, question 10 asks, what is the primary role of decomposer, like a fungus, in an ecosystem? All right, I'm going to go with option D. This is the core concept in life science, as decomposers, they're essential for returning vital nutrients right back into our soils. Question 11 asks, to demonstrate how an animal structure helps it survive, which example is most effective? Is it A, B, C, or D? All right, so we've got 10 down so far. Thanks so much for sticking around. And if you are finding value in this video, please knock that thumbs up button so the algorithm can help more future teachers pass their Praxis exam too. All right, so read the answer options A, B, C, D, and then let's go over it. All right, so I'm gonna select option B because showing how a duck's webbed feet help it swim really provides like a clear and direct link between the physical structure, which is the webbed feet, and then also the specific function for survival. Moving to question 12, this one asks, a class observes that some birds fly south for the winter. This is an example of which kind of adaptation? I'm going to go with option B because behavioral adaptation, this is like, it's an action or behavior the animal does to survive as opposed to a physical feature of its body. Question 13 asks, a student believes that a heavy object will always fall faster than a light object. Which activity best challenges this misconception? All right, and as you can tell, we have left life science, and we are now starting with question 13 right here, entering our physical science test prep review. I'm going to go with option B, dropping a flat sheet of paper on a crumpled paper ball. I like this because both sides have the same mass, and, a crumpled ball falls faster, isolating air resistance in the key variable, not the weight. Moving to question 14, this one asks, which of the following is an example of a chemical change? All right, option C, baking a cake from batter in an oven is the choice that I'll be selecting because the heat from the oven causes the chemical reactions that create new substances. So that is the chemical change. Moving to question number 15, this one asks, to investigate how sound travels, a teacher has students stretch plastic wrap over a bowl with rice on top and then strike a tuning fork nearby. What is the purpose of the rice? I like option A, to show that sound waves cause vibration, because let's see here. The rice would, provide a visual evidence that the sound, which is invisible, the sound waves, are making the plastic wrap vibrate. All right, moving on to question number 16. This one asks, a teacher sets up a simple circuit with a battery, a light bulb, and wires. The bulb does not light up. What is the most likely reason? Question number 16, I'm going to go with option B. The circuit is open, preventing electron flow. Because for electricity to work, remember, it needs to have a complete unbroken path, and an open circuit is the most fundamental, reason that it would probably fail. All right, question number 17 asks, which of the following best describes energy transfer through conduction? Heat moving from a hot stove to a pan touching it would be the correct answer, because conduction is specifically defined as the transfer of heat through direct contact. So heat moving from hot stove to a pan touching it. All right, question 18. This one asks, when teaching about states of matter, a student asks, what happens when water boils? What is the most accurate explanation? The water changes from a liquid to a gas called steam. This uses precise, grade-appropriate vocabulary to describe the phase change from liquid to gas. I like that. Let's go with option A. Moving to question 19, this reads, a class needs to design a container that keeps an ice cube from melting. Which step should they perform first in the design process? I can see from this question we have now transferred into the engineering and technology section of this practice exam. Defining the problem and identifying key constraints will be the best answer of this list, because the very first step in engineering and the design process is to just have a clear understanding of the goal and the limitations. All right, let's go on to question 20. This one reads, after students build initial prototypes for a paper airplane designed for distance, what is the best next step? Conducting a fair test by throwing each plane multiple times. That's what I got. Is that what you got too? I'm thinking because after building a prototype, the next step would be to test it kind of systematically in order to gather data on its kind of long distance performance. All right, moving to question number 21. This one asks, when students are testing different bridge designs, the teacher instructs them to use the same type of paper and the same number of pennies for weight. Why is this instruction important? To ensure the test is fair by controlling variables seems like the right option here, because keeping the materials and the weight the same, we could ensure that the only thing actually being tested is the bridge's design. All right, moving on to question number 22. This one asks, in the context of an engineering design project, which of the following is an example of a constraint? I like option C because, well, let's read it. The requirement that the project must be completed in 1 hour. This is like a limitation or a restriction, and this is exactly what the question is asking for. So, other limitations, constraints might be time or budget or availability of materials. All right, moving to question 23. This one asks, a group of students has designed a tool to pick up litter. Which activity would be the best way to evaluate and optimize their design? Using the tool to pick up different types of litter would be a great test because, to see how the test fares in real world, trash picking upping or like scenarios. This would be a practical way to identify the strengths and weaknesses of the tool that the students built, which is really cool. All right, let's move on to our final question. And if you stuck around, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Again, I hope you found it helpful in helping you get prepared for your upcoming science Praxis exam. This question asks, after successfully designing a water filter, a teacher asks students to explain how their device works to the class. This step focuses on which engineering practice? I'm going to go with obtaining, evaluating, and communicating the information. Presenting and explaining your design is an important final step in the engineering process and focuses on communication. Let's click that submit button and see how we did. Oh, nice. Okay, great. So what I really like about this is that the correct answers are shown in green. If we had any incorrect answers, they'd be shown in red. Now, again, this has been the partial sample. This is the half length of your Praxis 7814 science exam. If, however, you want the full practice test, make sure that you click the link in the description and get instant access to all of the resources that we've created in order to make passing your Praxis 7814 exam super simple. Thanks so much again for watching, and I'll see you in future videos.